When hope is gone, undo this lock and send me forth on a moonlit walk. Release restraint level 0. Hey kids, wanna see a dead body?
Hi guys, this is the Void of the Ravenclaw. Welcome back to another fanfiction story. If you like this type of content, smash the like button and subscribe for future updates that I do post on my CUNY tab frequently. Now, let's continue where I last left off in our story. Izuku was floating several round metal balls that seemed to slightly increase in size and decrease rapidly. It's one of his training exercises. He does. They're also good to attack with, as well as he can make them big as bowling balls if Izuku desired it. We're almost there, Master. We're heading towards the largest known number of these aliens in Gotham City. Stop the car, driver. It'll be too dangerous moving forward, as Victoria and Izuku got out of the car, as a Imperium walker begins to approach them. I'll handle the walking science fiction walking of goo, while you deal with the stragglers. Master, I need to let off some steam. These filthy aliens destroyed my garden back at the manor. They need to be punished. Victoria begins to walk forward, then her walk turn into a sprint, then her sprint turn into a full-blown run, as she begins to dodge from the high condensed beams of energy that is shooting out of the Imperium Walker. Just a small reminder, this is what the Imperium Walker looks like. If you haven't seen the OG Justice League cartoon. As Victoria begins to run in a zigzag, Victoria began to run in a zigzag pattern, making it very difficult for the alien weaponry to land a direct hit on her, as she begins to shoot ice spikes at the Imperium Walker, only for it to bounce off its main body. Victoria narrowed her eyes. Tough little bastard. No matter how much ice I release, it seems to be unaffected. So she was left with only one option: brute strength. She jumped in the middle of the air and slammed her fists into the main body of the Imperium Walker, making it shake from the impact, as clearly she could feel the vibrations. As she created a ice scythe, before she could hit the ground, she swung her ice weapon as she slashed her ice scythe upwards, cutting the Imperium Walker in half as it explodes on itself, as her ice scythe ruptured the core. When she landed, she skid backwards across the ground. Then Victoria immediately began to rush the incoming Imperium foot soldiers, slicing through them into pieces with her ice scythe. Then Victoria used fire magic to ignite the rest of the aliens, as she turned around to see her master slaughtering several of these aliens with his green fire. Let's go. Right behind you, Master. I see you're able to use ice. It would be a lot easier if you just freeze them completely. Then use your strength to shatter them. Victoria stopped as she cursed to herself. That would have worked a whole lot easier. As they see one of the alien factories in the distance, we got our next target. I've been meaning to ask this. How did you destroy the last one? You just gotta find the heart of the factory. It's some sort of crystal orbish looking thing in a solid liquid casing. All you have to do is provide enough pressure, and the factory will go into overload and destroy itself. It's very inefficient, but that's all we have at this current time. This little invasion of theirs gives me the perfect opportunity to see where my limits are with my own abilities. That I can understand. If you don't know your limits, you won't be able to train properly. The mistress was right. You got a very sharp mind. I've always been a firm believer. You could have all the power in the world, but without the brains to utilize it, you might as well be powerless. Victoria wasn't sure how she felt at first, hearing about her new master. She was thankful she's not serving a spoiled child that knows nothing about the real world. Victoria can tell he's no spoiled kid. He's powerful, intelligent, and he clearly has street smarts. She'll wait until she makes the final decision on her new master after observing him some more. She couldn't help but see Inko and Izuku. Not too surprising, considering Izuku is Inko's son. He clearly takes after his mother more than his father. She still doesn't know who the man is. Her mistress clearly has a lot of unresolved feelings about the man every time the subject is brought up. When they got halfway to the factory, more foot soldiers came running out of the factory. Victoria just stomped her foot on the ground, as the ground was instantly frozen, and traveled towards the aliens. As the Imperium foot soldiers, the moment their feet touched the frozen ground, they froze instantly. As they were frozen solid, not even a second later, they began to shatter into little ice shards. That's definitely a deadly move you got there. They were instantly frozen and shattered only a few seconds later, but we can't have them reforming. We still don't know what they're able to do with their bodies, considering they're made of goo. Izuku ignited all the ice shards of the aliens with his green fire. Look sharp, they're sending reinforcements as the big doors to the alien factory open up, as several Imperium walkers come walking out. Izuku and Victoria narrowed their eyes at the number of Imperium walkers that came out of the factory. They counted 9 in total that came out of the factory. Several of them were standing next to the door of the factory, guarding it, while the other Imperium walkers began to walk towards them. This factory itself is a lot more bigger than the prior one Izuku destroyed. As all of the Imperium walkers immediately open fire as beams of energy get shot towards Victoria and Izuku, forcing them to withdraw. I believe it would be prudent if we withdraw for now. I agree completely. We're outnumbered and outgunned. They ran into a couple of nearby buildings. After they ran through 3 more buildings, they stopped and crouch, catch their breath, as they could hear Imperium foot soldiers trying to locate their position. They found themselves in a warehouse. Izuku began to look through the large wooden crates as he picked up a nearby crowbar that's on the floor and began to open up the wooden crates. "What are you doing, Master?" "This warehouse smells like gunpowder, so I'm very confident we'll be able to find something useful to make a large diversion so we don't get flanked on all sides." He opened the first crate. It was filled with drugs. He opened the second crate, that filled with guns, and the third crate was filled with ammunition for the guns. And the last crate he opened up was filled with grenades. One more crate, so he decided to open that up as well. It was filled with dynamite. Gotta love Gotham. This will do nicely. Victoria watched Izuku booby-trap the whole warehouse with grenades and sticks of dynamite. A shitload of them. I'm afraid to ask, but how do you even know how to do that? Trust me, I know a lot of things. Let's just get out of here. They're getting closer to our position as they climb out the window. As they climb on top of the roof after finding a ladder. As they begin to hop from rooftop to rooftop onto nearby buildings. As they got far enough, as there was a loud explosion that destroyed not just the warehouse, but the entire block. I might have overdid it a little bit, but the result speaks for itself. Victoria made a mental note to keep all explosions away from Izuku. It's not that she doesn't think he can't handle explosions. He just seems to enjoy it too much. "You seem to be enjoying this way too much, Master." "Guilty as charged. I do love blowing shit up. But it looks like we managed to wipe out a lot of the foot soldiers. And a good portion of those walking piles of goo. According to what I see, we only have to deal with at least 5 of them, instead of the 9 in total." Scratch that, there's 6 of them. As one of the walkers came out of the dust cloud from the explosion, Izuku made his way to the closest Imperium walker to their location, by the rooftops. When he got above the Imperium walker, he channeled his cryokinesis in his hands, as he extended his palm downwards at the Imperium walker, as he released a concentrated fire shot from the palm of his hand that turned into a beam of fire. As there was a bright green flash, as there as there was nothing left but a scarred, charred street with a medium-sized crater. As easy you could see a couple more. As you could see a couple buildings that looked like they were cut by a very hot weapon, like a very hot knife. As some of the buildings that were cut are still glowing red from the extreme amount of fire, of high temperatures, basically. It basically looked like a building was cut by a laser beam. I had no idea you were able to do that with your cryokinesis. I've trained with my cryokinesis as much as I train with my telekinesis. I'm nowhere near mastering it, but I won't be able to do that again for a while. We're going to have to find another way to take them out. We need to come up with a game plan. We need to lure them into the city, destroying them one by one. But we're going to have to split up. I don't like the fact that we might have to split up, but your plan is solid. Even with both of us, it would be very dangerous to fight all 5 of these walking weapons all at once. Victoria and Izuku made their way off the roof and began to approach the 5 Imperium walkers. Victoria shot several shards of ice, distracting them as she landed her hands on one of the Imperium walkers, freezing it completely as she shattered it into a million pieces. The 4 Imperium walkers begin to shoot several beams of energy at Victoria as Izuku began to throw several green fireballs at the other 2 to get their attention. As 2 followed Izuku, as the other 2 followed Victoria, as they separated and went further into the city. As the 2 Imperium walkers followed Victoria in the city, while the other 2 followed Izuku into the city in a completely different direction, where Victoria is running into. Victoria was using her ice under her feet to move fast as she begins to skate between buildings after buildings, shooting shards of ice at the Imperium walkers that are following her. When she sees an opening, they immediately shot off their beams of energy. As Victoria skate in a zigzag pattern to dodge all of the incoming energy beams. As Victoria begins to dodge the incoming beams, as she skates up on the building, then leaped off, performing a backflip on top of one of the Imperium walkers, as the other Imperium walker to the right saw that as it shot a large beam of energy, full power, as she jumped off the walker, as the other walker completely destroyed the other one, cutting the number down to 1. As the walker destroyed his own ally, she skid to a stop, then she has a smirk on her face. Now with only one of them left, she touched the ground with her hands, freezing everything in front of her for miles, from a mile radius, freezing the Imperium walker, as she jumped up in the middle of the air and slammed her fist into the frozen walker, shattering it into pieces of ice as it rained down shards of ice. As she used her fire spell to vaporize the remains of the two Imperium walkers, as she began to walk towards her master's direction. On Izuku's side of things, he's blasting through the city using his fire in both of the palm of his hands like thrusters. To move fast, to move more faster, as he begins to take a tight right turn between the buildings, as the two Imperium walkers seem to be confused. As he's flying around the walkers, making them very hard to make a direct hit as they begin to shoot randomly at his direction with their very powerful condensed energy beams, clearly missing every shot. Izuku's just moving too fast for them to actually make a direct hit. Izuku saw someone in the corner of his eye. It was one of the members of the little criminal council they have going on, as Bane jumped in the middle of the air and slammed his fist into the main part of the Imperium walker, making it backstep a few steps. As several of his goons shot off rocket launchers, as several of the rockets began to shoot from the ceiling of the buildings, heading directly towards the Imperium walker, as it was hit with rapid shots of rockets. As smoke begins to conceal the Imperium walker from rapid rocket shots, Izuku landed right next to Bane. It seems like you've been having fun, muchacho. Do you mind if I join in? There's plenty to go around. Sure, why not? You're one of my mother's associates, so you have no disagreement on my end of things. Impressive use of rockets, but I don't think that will be enough to take them out. These walking alien walker things are pretty durable, despite their ugly appearance. I noticed that as well. As the smoke cleared, as Bane could see the Imperium walkers walking out, not even damaged, not one bit. The Imperial walkers begin to shoot their beams of energy at Bane's men that's on the roof as they begin to scatter. As Bane hit, I hit that one pretty hard, but it seems like it wasn't even phased, not one bit. I think I'm going to have to take it up a notch. Bane activated his device as venom run through the rubber tubes. Not really rubber, but maybe I'm not really sure what they're made of, the tubes are made of, but plastic, rubber, I really don't care. That doesn't really matter. Let's continue anyways. As the venom run through the tubes, that's connected to the back of his neck, as the green liquid enter his bloodstream, increasing his size as his muscle begins to bulge. Not only his muscles increase, but his physical power as well. Bane ran and grabbed one of the Imperial Walker legs and wrapped both of his arms around it as he began to lift it up as he slammed it into a nearby wall of a nearby building. About time Bane saw the incoming beam of energy, he didn't have time to do anything else but block as he crossed his arms in an X, ready to take the hit. Izuku made a psychic shield, taking the hit as Bane saw himself inside some sort of green barrier. He knew it was Inko's son's doing. considering his power set. So the kid has more than telekinesis under his belt. Bane could see how dangerous the kid is, and he's still young. He has room to grow with his abilities. Bane highly doubts Izuku has hit his peak when it comes to his powers. There's one thing Bane knows. It would be best to keep himself on his good graces. If he's anything like his mother, he needs to keep himself on his toes. Bane doesn't fear a lot of things, but he fears that woman. Izuku used his other hand to shoot off a more high-cadence fire shot from the palm of his hand as he completely vaporized the walker. Bane, I only have enough energy for one more shot. You know what to do. Bane gave Izuku a nod as he ran over to one of the Imperium walkers and grabbed hold onto one of its legs and swung it towards Izuku as Izuku shot his beam of fire like a rocket. Well, so sorry, let's try this again. As Bane swung it towards Izuku like a rocket, as Izuku blasted with a very condensed fire shot from the palm of his hand, vaporizing it, but leaving him completely exhausted afterwards. Before Izuku could fall to the ground, Victoria caught him. Might excuse us. The young master had plenty of fun today. It's time for him to return home. She wrapped his arm around her shoulder as she begins to walk with her master back to the vehicle, eventually getting to the vehicle and place him in the back seat of the car as she sat down right next to him. Take us back to the manor. Thanks, Victoria. I'm a little disappointed. I can't finish what I started, but I'm spent. I'm going to pass out for a little bit, as he immediately proceeded to pass out. She smiled at her master and laid his head on her lap. Izuku woke up the next day, good as new. He just needed a good night's sleep to recover from all of the usage of his quirk. He used a bunch of very advanced moves. It takes a toll on his stamina, using several powerful moves, one after another. He walked to the backyard of the manor and see the sky is beginning to clear up as he walked inside to his mother's office, who she is watching the news of the creation of the Justice League. She could clearly see Superman, Batman, the Amazon woman known as Wonder Woman, Flash, a Green Lantern, alongside with a strange-looking green man, Martian the Manhunter, and a woman with a mace with bird-like wings, aka Hawk Girl. As Superman begins to answer all the reporters' questions. Interesting. This is definitely an interesting turn of events. To think the broody bat joined the little hero team. Never thought I would see the day. Mr. I work alone, despite all his sidekicks he has. So I take it, Mother, that they're responsible for the disappearance of the factory, and that strange-looking fog is no longer blocking out the sun. Indeed, son, they call themselves the Justice League, apparently. They got some pretty heavy hitters on their side. If I know the Batman, This Justice League is going to be a problem. Enough about them. You did good out there, son. Destroying a factory by yourself is quite impressive. Unfortunately, I couldn't destroy the other one. I'm a bit irritated. I love you, sweetheart, but you have limits. We're still human after all. What are you going to do about it? I'm going to train, of course. I saw my limits, now I know what to work on. That's my boy. Why don't you take a relaxing day off and start your training tomorrow? And I won't take no for an answer. Yes, Mom. That's a good lad. Why don't you run off? I have some more work to do, unfortunately. A few hours later, you can see Izuku watching TV, flipping through the channels. All he can see is, on every fucking channel, is the Justice League this, a Justice League that. On every fucking channel, so naturally he got irritated and blasted TV with a green fireball. Another TV, I was hoping that you wouldn't have that little nasty habit. What do you mean, Victoria? Your mother does the exact same thing when she's pissed off or irritated. Sorry about that, I lost my cool there for a moment. I won't deny, I find this Justice League to be a bit irritating. They're acting all high and mighty. I don't like them. No matter what country you're in, heroes are always overhyped, arrogant fools. Arrogant fools. I'll be in a library if you need me, as Izuku decided to spend some time in the private library that they have in the manor. He spent the whole day just relaxing, reading books, and spending time in the garden, then doing his schoolwork online. Then he went to bed. The next morning he began his training. The first thing he does try to fix is his level of stamina. So he began to run around the boundaries of the manor, going through a nearby forest that's surrounding the entire manor. He has neighbors, but they're too far away, so he could train to his heart content without having someone interrupt his training or asking questions. After all, he's living in the rich part of Gotham. Izuku spent the whole day training his stamina. As Victoria handed him a towel and a water bottle, Izuku used the towel to wipe the sweat from his face. Thanks, Victoria, as Izuku begins to drink the water bottle. How's your training been going? Not sure yet, it's only been a day. I highly doubt I'll see results on the first day. That is true. I notice you're trying to work on your stamina. That I am. How did you know? Well versed in training your body. I don't advertise it, but I'm an Amazon from Paradise Island. So you came from the same place that Wonder Woman came from. Exactly. Unlike the Princess Diana, I was kicked out. I was banished, but I won't go into great detail about that. Let's just say I didn't agree with the Queen on many things. If you want results, I can train you. I'm not trying to be ungrateful or anything, but why? Your mother helped me when I first arrived into man's world. She helped me adjust, gave me a home, gave me a job. I owe the mistress a lot. In all honesty, I didn't think much of you when was aware of your very existence. Since I've been serving you, you're shaping up to be a worthy master. You haven't earned my respect fully yet, but you made a good first start. Duly noted. So what does this training entail? Slow down there. I'm glad you're so motivated, but this training is not for everyone. I won't go easy on you. This training will be harsh and hard. There will be no quitting once started. I will break you down and rebuild you into a warrior. I suggest you get some rest while you can. The training will begin at the crack of dawn tomorrow. Inko watched her son go back to the manor. I was right to assign you to my son. It's good to see you two getting along so well, considering you had a very low opinion of my dear baby boy when I first told you about him. He's growing on me. He's so much like you. He even picked up some of your habits. That would explain the destroyed television. I was hoping he didn't inherit that habit of mine. But I should have known better. He takes after me too much. Are you sure about this, Inko? The training will be hard for him. I won't hold back. I won't expect nothing less from you. I know you far too well. I wouldn't expect you to go easy on him. My son has never had a normal childhood. My little Izuku was never going to have one. He's too different compared to his sister. He doesn't have the same drive to be a hero like my Izumi. I'm going to get back to Manor. I have some work to do. Just wanted to check up on you two. I will as well. I have my duties to fulfill. I need to make sure all the other maids and other staff are doing their job correctly. You might excuse me, mistress. As Victoria and Inko went their own separate ways into the manor, Izuku was woken up from the sun is rising. As Victoria opens the curtains, I suggest you get dressed and get something to eat while you can. Your training starts today. Izuku got up and got dressed into his training gear and ate some breakfast. The first thing he had to do is the first thing he had to do was watch Victoria play his gravity seals, magic circles on different parts of his body, as Victoria told him to run. Every time he get used to the gravity seals, she'll increase the gravity by one level, one after another. This lasted for the half a day. Izuku was completely exhausted by lunchtime. Good start. You can take the rest of the day off and recover. Tomorrow we'll continue. After Izuku got something to eat, the gravity seals are deactivated, but they're still on his body. Like I said, they're deactivated, so he can move normally. He ended up crawling into his bed, completely exhausted. As this routine would continue, this type of training was brutal, but he couldn't complain considering the results. He could tell he has a lot more stamina. His stamina clearly increased by doing this sort of training for a week straight. Not only did he work on his stamina, he also worked on his quirk. He can now use more of his moves. He can now move, he now could use more of his most powerful moves more frequently. Normally, it would take a large amount of stamina to use, but with his training, he has decreased how much stamina is used for those sort of attacks. They still drain a good portion of stamina, but it's not large amount of stamina anymore. While during his brutal training, the Justice League became more well known, having countless battles with Lex Luthor himself. The months turn into a full year of brutal training. He doesn't like to use a sword and shield, but he's able to use them. He is quite skilled. He also learned how to fly using his telekinesis, but he's still having trouble taking his telekinesis to the next level. He knows there's a level above what he's currently capable of, but he just can't push past his current limits. He's having the same issue with his cryokinesis. He might be able to continuously use more powerful moves. But that could only take him so far. The next plateau of his abilities are far out of his reach at his current level. So he decided to stop training. It would do no good at this current time. His mother wanted to see him, so he made his way to his mother's office. There you are, sweetheart. Victoria mentioned you wanted to see me, Mother. Indeed I do. I need someone I can trust completely. I need some eyes and ears in Metropolis. Take it you want me to keep an eye on this Justice League? Not just the Justice League, but Lex Luthor as well. According to my sources, Lex is trying to come up with some sort of serum that will give a normal human abilities of a Kryptonian. I need you to infiltrate his laboratory and steal a sample of whatever work he has done with his serum. I highly doubt he has finished it. Izuku was literally shocked at this revelation as his eyes widen. Is that even possible? On the contrary, my son, it is quite possible. I've been working on that very same thing myself. I just need a sample to know what process he's been doing. Hopefully his serum is far further along than mine. Like I said, I highly doubt he's even completed it yet. I just need to get a different perspective on the serum. But the problem is I don't know where the lab is exactly. All I know is somewhere in Metropolis. There to find the lab, infiltrate it, steal whatever information you have on the serum, and keep an eye on the Justice League. I want your main priority is to find that laboratory for your dear old mother. Very well, Mother. If I find any information on this laboratory, I'll get whatever information he has about this serum he's creating. This could level the playing field with many of the juggernauts that the Justice League has at their disposal, like Superman and Wonder Woman. This will be the first time you're going alone. Victoria will be doing a couple of jobs for me while you make your way to Metropolis. She'll join you later, but for now, you're on your own. Get some rest. You leave tomorrow. Understood, Mother. As he kissed his mother on the cheek, as he went to his room to get some rest. He had a long flight to Metropolis. The next morning, he started to hover up in the air by using his telekinesis as he begins to fly towards Metropolis. After maintaining a efficient speed, he finally arrived to Metropolis after flying for a few hours. As he floated down in a nearby alley, so he doesn't draw any unwanted attention to himself, he contacted his mother through his mental link. Mother, I just arrived in Metropolis. Excellent. Just go to the address that I told you about. It should lead you to one of my safe houses I have in Metropolis. Be careful. Got it, Mother. I'll tread carefully as he broke off his mental link with his mother. He typed the address in the GPS on his phone. As he followed the directions to apartment complex, he took out the key out of his pocket and unlocked the door. As he stepped in and locked the door behind him, he decided to get a better layout of the apartment, so he went exploring. He went to explore the large apartment. He sees a large living room with a large kitchen that has a decent sized bedroom that's connected to the bathroom that's connected to the master bathroom. He decided to take a look at the other room. It looks like more like an office than an actual room. He definitely could use the large map of the city that's hanging on the wall. He checked out the rest of the apartment, starting to make a list of things he needs, like food and other essentials. He has plenty of money, so income won't be a problem. While he was in the food market, in a small grocery store, as a group of robbers wearing ski masks over their faces. They only have 3 holes for eye holes in the mouth, as all the robbers are all carrying handguns, as they fire a few rounds into the ceiling, getting everyone's attention. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a stick-up. A word of warning, if any of you get any ideas to play hero, we'll run you through with a bunch of lead. They shot the security guard in the skull as an example. As the security guard fell to the ground dead. Izuku played along and followed their commands, for now. Izuku noticed the robbers are trigger happy. They're just waiting for the excuse to shoot someone. He really doesn't want to get involved, but as more time progress, the situation will get worse. So he waited as he saw a perfect opportunity, as he made several light bulbs burst with his telekinesis, as all the robbers were distracted, as they were all slammed into the wall, as Izuku did that without drawing attention to himself, as all of the robbers combust in green fire, killing them instantly. But all the hostages were shocked because they don't know what just happened. Izuku did this without drawing attention to himself. It didn't take long for the Metropolis PD to enter the small grocery store and get everyone's statements on the events that just transpired. Izuku just played it cool and gave his description of the situation. After a few more questions, he was let go as he's carrying his groceries with a smirk on his face as he leaves the grocery store. He was very pleased with himself, taking care of the situation without even drawing attention to himself. The last thing he needs is the Kryptonian on his trail. That will draw the attention of the Justice League, and that's something he doesn't want to. That's something he doesn't want to happen at this current time. He's not delusional enough to not consider that the League will most likely take an interest in his mother's daily activities. He'll be forced to intervene if that happens. He knows at his current level he doesn't stand a chance against the weakest member of the Justice League. But for right now, he'll lay low. One day he'll be powerful enough where the Justice League won't even be a threat. He walked into his apartment and put away all his food in the refrigerator and cupboard and freezer. As he opened up the laptop that was sitting on the kitchen counter, it looks pretty old, but it'll serve his use. He began to do some research on current events that's been happening in Metropolis, crime rate, villain attacks, and any intel he finds useful before he makes his next move. Going blindly into Metropolis without no intel, causing trouble, would be a idiotic and a very naive, dangerous move on his part. And trying to find one lab in this huge city, it won't be an easy task. He needs to keep an eye out on anything that sticks out when it comes to several Lex Luthor's buildings. If Izuku was a betting type, the lab will definitely be underground, but he has no solid intel to prove that. It's just a wild theory he has. A week later, you could see Izuku on top of a building, watching a man with a purple jumpsuit covered his body completely, shooting laser beams out of his eyes as gunfire begins to bounce off his body. Villain is clearly displaying some abilities of Superman from a past encounter they had today. As Parasite began to do his thing, Izuku watched explosions go off in the street where the villain is attacking, as Parasite is throwing cars and blowing them up with his heat vision. From the siphon abilities he siphoned off of Superman from a previous encounter he had earlier today. That's where we're going to stop it. Hope you guys have a good night and day, judging by time zones, and I'll catch you in the next video.